Here with men's hockey coach Bill Moore. Coach, 15 days ago you were starting practice, and now this weekend you kick off the season at the MIAC Men's Hockey Showcase. Talk about those first couple weeks of practice. How are things been going for you guys?
They're going very well. I think the one thing that we see, we have a lot more depth this year from top to bottom, and that is leading towards a lot more competitive practices because guys are fighting for spots in the lineup and they want more ice time. So the intensity of practice has been tremendous. And I think that, having as many seniors as we have and bringing in some pretty talented freshmen, that I'm very excited.
With as many seniors as you have, and really looking at your roster, it can climb all the way up to 14 seniors. Does it make practices maybe a little bit easier in that you don't have to spend so much time explaining because they've all done these things before? Or how do you approach each day of practice, even with so many people that have been through this preseason work before?
Well, I think that you're right. It is a little bit easier because when we say we want to do the Denver drill, they know what the Denver drill is, and we only have to, we'll still draw it out for everybody so that everybody else learns, but they can teach each other as well. So, yeah, that definitely is an advantage to get through the pre-planning and things like that. I think it's also raised our expectations as to the process in which we do the drill. We don't accept passes being just thrown around anymore, or a mistake, or somebody that's mental, has a mental error. They should know what they're doing by this point with all our drills.
I think the expectations from their half of it is evident as well. I know a lot of the guys have been working very hard since the day they got here. I know a lot of them spent a lot of the off-season training. From a health standpoint and a conditioning standpoint, did everybody come in pretty good shape?
They did, and I think they worked very hard, especially in their dry land this year. It's gotten much better with what they choose to do with their time. They've also worked a lot harder, and I shouldn't say a lot harder, but they've worked harder on the ice. Again, I think part of that is because of the increased competitive level for playing time. You got 12 seniors that are able to play right now, and then you've got 3 or 4 freshmen coming in that are going to push everybody. So only 12 forwards dress, only 6D dress, and we go a lot deeper than that, and it's going to be tough to make a lineup out.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that lineup. If you look at your goaltending, really it might be the place where you don't have that senior leadership. You lost both of your top goalies in Jason Horstman and Andy Scheib to graduation. Christian Gaffey is back after playing a limited role last year between the pipes, and then you've got a couple of people battling Christian for the top spot as well. Talk a little bit about the goaltending you've got.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I'm very excited about our goaltending. I think that right now we have some very good athletes. They're all very, very close in ability levels. They each bring their own thing to the table. For example, Gaff is a D1 transfer from the University of Minnesota Duluth, very athletic, solid goaltender. Then you got Mitch Fernsler, who's got a 6'3" frame and can cut down the angles well. Just nice to have the big body in between the pipes. And then the third one is Phil Heinley, and Phil is unbelievably athletic. Unfortunately, he's a little shorter, so he doesn't take away the top corners quite as well as the bigger guys, but his athleticism is tremendous.
And let's move up to your defensemen. Again, you've got a nice mix there of returners as well as some very talented freshmen in that lineup.
Absolutely, and I think right now you look at some of the senior leadership that we have in our defensemen, and you got a Brad Denny, and you've got an Andrew Ketterer, you've got an AJ Miller. Those guys have put in a lot of games in the North American League. You've got Joey Van Antwerp, who now is healthy after having his ACL surgery last year. It's just a very good thing to do. Our leader in the backside, though, is Bobby Marks. He's a junior, played at Topeka in the North American Hockey League. And so we're expecting those older guys to really come through, and we've got a pleasant surprise in Mike Mazzano as a freshman that stepped up and right now is in one of our top four defensemen. So all throughout it, it's going to be a battle. There's going to be 8, 9 defensemen, and any 6 of them could play at one time.
And like you said, you look at your forwards, you've got 12 seniors that could play, and yet there's some freshmen that are pushing those guys, and that battle up front is going to be just as intense as it is at defense and in goal.
It absolutely is, and I think that's going to be the key for us this year is we can expect to get goals out of our first, second, and third line. You know, obviously we're going to expect Austin Belko, Bobby Thompson to do their thing and to make sure that they get the scoring punch started for us. You know, you've got Nick Nagel, who's now a senior, and he's kind of skating with a freshman and kind of giving him a little bit of some tutelage and training and things like that. But he's skating with a kid named Nick Albergo, and he's very quick, very good skills. Nagel also came in almost 20 pounds lighter than last year, so his speed is very good for a kid that's 6'4". We look at Jed McGlasson, and right now he's skating with Martin Gruss and Dylan Dock, and they might be the fastest line in the conference. It's just a great situation right now, and we got a lot of guys that will throw in and fill roles. In fact, that's what we've been doing this week, is sitting down with each kid and making sure they understood what their role was on the team, and make sure they do it to the best of their ability. But we're very excited with our depth, and I think that we'll see. We've got to find that goal scorer that's going to come through with big ones at the right time.
Let's talk about this weekend. You kick off the season. A lot of coaches use it as a measuring stick to see where you guys are at physically, as well as dealing with systems and whatnot. What do you want to take out of this weekend when you've got Augsburg on Friday and then St. Olaf on Sunday?
2 wins. I think it's at points when you're rebuilding, you look for things to look as positives and things that you want to get out of it. We need to be done rebuilding at some point, and now it's time that we need to win. And I think that right now we have a very challenging beginning of our season. We've got this weekend with Augsburg and Olaf. Olaf was the only team that had a playoff position clinched going into the last weekend of the season last year. We come right back with St. Thomas the following weekend, and they were co-champions of the conference last year. We turn around with NCHA, or now their MIAC teams in Stevens Point and Superior the following weekend. And then we come right into St. John's, who were the co-conference champions with St. Thomas. So our month of November is challenging, and not to take anything away from Lake Forest over Thanksgiving weekend. So we need to get out of the chute right away and have a good weekend to get things rolling, so that we can get ready to prepare for the teams. Get prepared for conference play.
You know, the conference has been so balanced for the last several years, and as you mentioned, it hasn't changed any. But there is a big shakeup in the conference in terms of conference standings and points that are awarded. Can you kind of explain to a neophyte, at least in layman's terms, how the new point system is going to work, and the addition of a shootout now?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I think the key is, why did we get a new point system? And that is because for the last few years, our 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th places have been determined by tiebreakers, or they could have been done by tiebreakers. You can't depend upon who beat the X team 6-5, and this one only beat them 4-2, to see who's going to be in playoffs or not. So the idea was to try to create more space and more gap between the different teams in the conference. So a win now is going to be worth 3 points. And that win has to be in regulation. If you win in overtime or in a shootout, you get 2 points. If you get to overtime, you get 1 point. Or if you lose in overtime or the shootout, you get 1 point. And if you lose in regulation, you get 0 points. So every game is now going to be worth 3 points, not 2. And the goal is that we create separation between the places, so that we don't have co-champions all the time, or in a 16-game schedule, it's just too tight.
How about the shootout? I know as a coach you like it. I'm sure your players are fired up about it. You get to watch it in the NHL, and now in Division III hockey in the MIAC, you're going to have a shootout as well.
I really like it. I think that the key is that with the shootout, it's giving the fans some more excitement. It is giving a bonus point for a team that wins the shootout, and you're still getting your point as if it were a tie if you don't win the shootout. So again, it's one of those separators that will help to maybe be the difference between a 6th and a 7th, or a 5th and a 6th, a 4th and a 5th, to determine playoff positions.
Season kicks off this weekend. You've got Augsburg on Friday night up at Fogarty Arena in Blaine. Then you turn around and play St. Olaf on Sunday afternoon. Good luck, Coach.
Thank you very much.